So it's been a long day, and it's a Sunday. It's a Sunday evening. I think it's about 8 p.m. So I decided I could, record something for you guys, for our dear viewers. So, hello and welcome again to yet another episode on Build Connect Uganda, Build Connect UG, and as usual, I'm your host, James Ambayo. You'll be seeing some of my friends or professionals soon. So hold tight, we have more coming for you. So today I'm here to talk about something that every person who is building, investing, or any stakeholder in the construction industry or real estate needs to know about, and that's materials, and that's durability and maintenance. Maintenance is more of the way you service, let's say, your car. Also, I think, I know buildings need regular maintenance to expand or to extend their lifespan. Then durability comes in handy when it comes to maintenance and the lifespan also of the building. So these two things are so crucial. And just to give you a little insight, or share the picture on why they are very crucial, is take a scenario whereby you've been building your structure. Now I'm going to compare this with the pre-occupation and post-occupation. So let's say for pre-occupation, that's, let's say, prior to you entering the facility. Be it a community facility or personal property or any development, people take long while building. So you find that by the time you're entering a building, it's looking old. You get the memo. And then post-occupation is you've been in the building and it's getting dilapidated very fast, faster than someone grows. Yeah. So I have, as usual, I'm going to use, Google and ChatGPT here as my guide, and let's dive into it. So, let's talk about why maintenance is important. If you look at modern day construction and how the state in which most buildings are, while we were at campus, let's say at Mitchell Hall, you could see beams, iron bars in the beams getting exposed. And I understand those buildings are old, but that's not supposed to be happening for a building that is maintained properly. And that comes down to things like facilities management. That's why facilities managers are very important. You just look out for those, points in on, let's say, your checklist on, let's say, things like plumbing and electricals, things like your roof. The roof takes the fastest hit when it comes to structures. Things like your walls and paint, things like doors and windows. We can go further on to say, let's say, furniture that would need renovation, but I'm mainly looking at the technical bit, because those other things can easily be sourced or changed. So, maintenance is important because it helps you extend the lifespan of the building, and it helps you enjoy the building, and also it improves on the efficiency of the building. By efficiency, I'll explain. I'm going to break it down into those components that I've listed down. So you find that you get to enjoy a facility more and extend its lifespan, then save more bills, enjoy going back or using the facility. It keeps you safe. You don't want, calamities like a building collapsing and stuff. So let's dive down. So let's start with the most important one, the roof. Generally, in our country, let's say Uganda, we are in the tropical region, so we experience a lot of rain and sun. So you find that, let's say, the roofs take a hit. They are ever under constant weather changes and harsh conditions, in the sense that let's say we had strictly one line of weather. We would prioritize our, let's say, focus and strength on dealing with that particular problem. But we are in a region where we receive a lot of rain, we receive a lot of sun, and this occurs over extended periods. So you find that the roof, also in our country whereby we use mostly iron sheets, you find that the roof takes the most heat. And once the roof starts getting affected, everything down gets affected. Things like gypsum has become a prominent material, and rain affects it a lot. So any leakage on the roof would affect the gypsum down, which would bring up another cost. Then you find that also water can seep into walls. That's also a cost. Then the roof structure itself, more so for guys, let's say, who use timber, which is the most common. Most guys who use timber for building their trusses, you find that that is also affected. So while inspecting a building, I would recommend, let's say, we could make this a culture, let's as Ugandans, and just having humanity for also the buildings that take care of us. So we can break down the building into 5 components. We can say the roof, the walls, the plumbing, the doors and windows, plus the, let's say, electricals. So under these 5 categories, let's say you could do your regular maintenance every, let's say, 6 months, every half a year. You can just call someone technical to check it up. We have very many facilities managers who can even help people down up to, let's say, people who own residential homes or even the small shops. So I have a colleague, you'll see him on one of these episodes. He runs a facilities management company. It's called Chris Chitio Weraga. We shall attach his number and contact somewhere. Some of these guys can help you along the way. So when you have your checklist, then let's say we start with the roof. You have to climb up there. Let's say you have a hipped roof, mwamba. You can access the ceiling and check for possible leakages or holes, because over time these iron sheets take a hit. Then the materials we use also are not that durable, so they wear out and they need changing. Then we have molds growing up. You have rodents that can climb up there. I don't know whether Zomba Yuma it's iron sheets, but let's say that's a possibility. So you need to start regularly checking the roof. So, and I've seen this everywhere, most structures that have aged, let's say, more than 10-20 years, 10 is even many. If it was poorly done, it would even be 2 years. Let's say 2 years actually. Let's look at 2 years. They start leaking, and that starts damaging things within the ceiling and within the house. So roof checks are really required, because they are the first line of defense. And when that's taken down, everything else comes down. So we categorize down into roofs, The next component is the walls and paint. And this is a regular problem because I've had very many of my clients and friends have trouble and ask me how we can deal with the problem of walls soaking. If you look at most of your places where you stay on the ground floor, if you look down, you see paint peeling off. Like the plaster behind also smudging off slowly. So you find that even when you're cleaning the house, you keep taking the wall slowly. So walls suffer a lot, and that's because of let's say things like rain from the out, moisture from the ground, then our regular cleaning, because some buildings do not have, let's say, skirtings. So water, the more they clean the floor, water climbs up walls, or it spills and you find it extending towards up. So all these things can be dealt with, because if you engage, let's say, facilities manager, they'll give you advice on how to handle your facility. And for commercial buildings, it's even more important. You need to spend money for regular maintenance. It saves you a lot of money in the future, because it's easier to do regular maintenance than serious renovation and repairs and close down your structure. So you take a big hit. And also clients tend to like structures that are well maintained. They feel safe, and it's value for money. You can even as well charge a lot of money for them. You can look at buildings like Acacia Mall, Village Mall. Those are some buildings that have been really maintained well. Even if they also do have they take a hit on, let's say, some floor tiles coming out and stuff, but the general feel is that when you go there, you're in a facility enjoying. That's why you find that most people go back there and they don't go to dilapidated malls or malls that come once and go. So that's about the walls. Then the paint on the outside, there is a common paint that has entered the real estate industry, which is called pest. Pest is a very good material because it lasts long, and also it protects the outside of the wall from, even if rain on it, it's a hard layer of paint. So rain rains and it falls down. So though it also gets affected with time, there is physical damage on it that allows for points of weaknesses where water can pass and damage the wall up to inside. So taking care of paint is very crucial. Cleaning your walls is very crucial, because we have paints like silk or gloss that can be scrubbed and cleaned, so that your walls are neat and clean. It's part of enjoying the structure. Yeah. So we've talked about the roof, we've talked about the walls and paint. Let's talk about plumbing and mechanicals. So this is a known fact. When you have poor plumbing in a building, that building sucks. And it can even go as far as damaging components of the building, like the foundation. Let's say your plumbing is down and leaking, it can damage slabs intensely. You find that your neighbor, let's say you're in an apartment block, the neighbor above you, stuff is passing through their toilet into yours. Shit is coming down. So regular checks, more so for commercial properties, is important, because people tend to compromise for structures they are not going to use. So it's I know it's a bad vice, and the regular checks can help prevent such inconveniences, and also protect the building, because when your slab is weak or foundation is weak, that building is not going to last. Yeah. Let's talk about doors and windows. So, on a structure, generally buildings are rigid. So, the most moving components of the structure are the doors and windows. So, that allows for them to get worn out faster. So, you find that doors start squeaking or windows start squeaking like beds, squeaking. That sound, eh? So it may need like grease, or you find that people used wood that wasn't dry, so the door warps and it now can't close. That it creates that inconvenience in the building and the structures. You find that they tend to shrink because of the weather conditions. Then they create the gaps are created between the window and the wall, so rain starts entering and passing through. So regular maintenance would involve sealing such gaps with silicone to prevent that water entry to affect further things that are inside, because when a window warps due to the press from above or contraction, that gap tends to stay there. So what you can do is simple. You can get a facilities manager or do it yourself, like a DIY. You seal those gaps to prevent further rain from entering and damaging the walls more so from the outside. And then having seals is crucial. People skip them on buildings, but it's crucial. When rain rains, a seal protects water from going onto your wall. So I think one of the things we're going to have to talk about, I'll invite some of my friends, Muzoraoska, or some people, other people who might have crucial knowledge for you guys to explain parts of the buildings and why we do certain things somewhere and why we can't miss certain things like window sills to protect our walls from rainwater, because water is a very bad agent when it comes to wear and tear. So things like doors warping, those would need replacing, because it's important to have a locking door for security, for privacy purposes, for convenience. It's crucial. All those things are no-brainers. That's about doors and windows. So we've spoken about the roof, number one. We've spoken about walls and paint, number two. Doors and windows, number three. Number four, let's talk about what am I missing? No, I also spoke about plumbing and drainage. So number five is the electrical and mechanical systems. Those ones are let me say those are one of the most important, because anything electrical and mechanical is bound to a certain number of hours of work or tear. Things like air conditioning, they need refilling, otherwise it ceases to work the way the one of the car is. Then things like bulbs. So if you look critically, when you go to buy a bulb, the number of hours attached to its lifespan. So the more you use it, the brightness reduces. So you find that over time, the light in your room reduces, and then you skip certain practices, like let's say reading, or you unconsciously give up on certain things. So this is brought about by I'm going to file for you an in-depth review on it's an ikigai way of living, on certain practices and how you live in your house, and realize how your moods and behaviors change over time, because architecture and construction affect us directly when it comes to those areas. So still, for commercial properties, things like lifts, very important to service and maintain Things like I've spoken about air conditioning. We have things like escalators. We have things like, there are people who have mechanized doors and window systems, mechanized air systems like vents. A lot of that needs maintenance for usability of the structure. Yeah, and I think from time to time we shall take you around and show you some of these practices and why they are important, other than sitting, in this cubicle and just telling you about them. But they are very, very crucial things. I might be talking about them anyway, but they are quite important to project and extend the lifespan of the building. Yeah, so that brings me to durability. Yeah, durability is it's a lot related to the materials matter. If you look at let's say the maintenance, like on the walls I spoke about paint outside. When you use materials like facing bricks or exposed bricks from burnt clay, like the ones Sodiru Parelia uses on his structures, it's an aesthetic move, but it's also a long-term move, because you find that those things never get affected by the weather, and they don't really need painting over time, because we are talking about 20 years, 10 years. Some of you have seen these structures from back in the day where guys used to finish with facing bricks. Structures that were built 20, 30 years, 40 years back, and they are still intact. If you go to Makerere, like the building that got burnt, the Ivory Tower, they used rubber stone on its skirts. That stone, I think that may be one of the oldest buildings. Mook is about 92 years old, if I'm not mistaken. And if you look at its structures, they don't need paint. They just paint where, let's say, white is or blue is, the beams, the concrete beams, to just give it character. But they don't really need paint, because rain can't do anything on those things, even physical damage. So when you use materials that extend the lifespan of the building, they save you over time. You don't get to paint every Christmas period, or every time you guys have a function, or every 6 years, and now the kids have grown, they now want to give back to the family, and now they are painting. They probably, at least they would use that to, let's say, change plumbing fittings. So materials are very crucial. They may cost you right now, but over time they give you that, some of them even age very well. They give you that flamboyant look, like sweet wine. They age like red sweet wine. And that's the best. So the way you take that aged wine and say, wow, it's the same thing with these materials. So you can use things like stone. Stone doesn't age, it's a natural element. Burnt clay bricks, very readily available, mostly in our country. Then wood. Back in the day we had wood that really lasted, and today it's still there. It's hardwood, but because of the global movement into sustainability, hardwood is being used less. You can actually, people are currently embracing things like bamboo. Bamboo grows very fast and quick, and it's a good steward of sustainability, and it looks decent and pretty nice. So materials are the backbone of durability. So maintenance itself is a support system of durability. You need to be doing these things. People need to find, take an example of Makerere. If these guys took some of these things lightly, the whites, the colonial masters, if they took some of these things lightly, probably we wouldn't have found these buildings to study in. And they have allowed us to transition from a period when economic times have been tough for even the government to take care of those buildings, into a point, I think we shall get to a point whereby, remember now there's a private sector where people pay, so you find the university has some money to spend on the structures, then there are new foundations like MasterCard that are helping in maintaining those buildings and extending their lifespan, so that maybe our grandkids at a certain time will find them. So maintenance is a crucial factor. Same thing, we need to put that mindset back into the system of residencies. And we are going to be sharing some of this information and emphasizing it and giving you practical examples on how you can do it. And it will help extend and make our country better. Yeah. For now, that's what I had for you guys. So think about it. Under maintenance, look at the roof, look at the walls and paint, look at the plumbing and the mechanical systems, look at the windows and openings, and lastly look at the electricals, those 5 things. Then at construction stage, look at the materials that you use to extend the lifespan of the building. Then after construction, post-construction stage, the 5 fundamental elements of maintenance will help extend the lifespan of the building. So if you guys have questions and stuff you need to know about, you can comment in the comment section. We shall look at them and give you guys response. Other than that, see you in the next episode. Build, connect, subscribe, watch out for us. We are bringing more for you. And God bless you.